Hello everyone and welcome back to the OCrit D&D kind of world building videos that we keep kind of putting out. This time we're going to cover a relatively familiar face, is the Midnight Dancer. Uh, in the rest of kind of D&D lore, she's otherwise known as Alistrae, but this is kind of how she relates in the world of Ravion. So the Midnight Dancer, otherwise known as Alistrae, is a goddess of beauty and the arts. She works within the world to support the ascent of the Drow culture, within which she is most prominent. Alistrae works to promote the arts and finer culture of the Drow, supporting those that abandon their underdark slave master ways and homes in an attempt to pursue a life on the surface as purveyors of the arts as they subsist in peace with the other races of the world. Alistrae is often depicted as a Drow woman with long silvery hair obscuring her nude form, wielding a massive silver sword that serves as her holy symbol. In bygone years, when the Drow descended from the surface world and turned to a darker path of slavery and conquest within the tunnels of the Underdark, Alistrae wept and made it her personal charge to draw those Drow brave enough to forsake their evil ways to the surface world and give them a life of peace and harmony. To this day, the Drow that exists on the surface recognize the Midnight Dancer as a powerful force for good and treat her with the highest reverence. Alistrae, while a prominent force within Drow culture, is not only a goddess of the Drow, but a goddess to all that supports the peaceful life and harmony of interracial cooperation and living. Those that work to promote this peace and serve as a beacon of hope for those that seek the peace are blessed by this goddess. Alistrae is a matronly goddess, and her followers assume a similar role. The sword dancers, as they are known, regularly assume the roles of both protectors and servants of peace, as well as diplomats, teachers, artists, and any other position that allows them to cultivate a lasting peace for generations across all these cultures. So, that's kind of her basic setting within the world of Ravion. Within Ravion, there is a Drow culture, and there are very different pieces of Drow culture throughout the world. There are Drow that, despite being more sensitive to sunlight, live on the surface. There are Drow that live in the Underdark, maintaining kind of their historical slave-making nature. But that tends to be the base story of Drow in general for D&D. So how the Drow that have come to the surface under the care of Alistrae, they tend to live in not quite a nocturnal type setting, but kind of. They fill the role of many night workers and artists and other roles that help them to preserve a peace. They are guardsmen. They are adept soldiers and warriors that guard the settlements of these communities of people over the night, since they have a biological predilection towards the darkness. They're able to deal with it much better than your average human guardsmen. There are also artists and creatives that have developed, since they have this ability to work on what is relatively their own schedule, a means by which they can support a lasting peace through the art and the work that they do as creative types. So Alistrae, being a goddess of these Drow and a peaceful communal lifestyle, is happy with pretty much anybody that is there to support this lifestyle, Drow or not. She tends to support anybody that stands up in defense of another. Say you have not just a Drow, but maybe a chromatic dragonborn that lives within a town where they are persecuted for, the color of their scales. She recognizes and supports that dragonborn. She wants them to live a life of peace and support, and she is saddened when they suffer. Likewise, a Nephilim that exists within Elven culture, that is seen as a demon blood or something else of this dark and evil lineage, or unknown horrifying creature, is watched over by Alistrae. She cares for them. She makes sure that as much as she can, she sends her followers to support them. She wants these people that are otherwise abused by the societies that they live in to benefit from a peaceful lifestyle. And so she calls to them to attempt to get them to find this peaceful lifestyle, rise above this oppression that they face in favor of goodness and justice and tolerance. She is quite possibly one of the best examples of a goddess of peaceful activism that I could think of. She fits within the world as this peaceful activist, pulling people with her call to be better and to be tolerant and supportive of other cultures around them. And while she's saddened by the different cultures fighting and warring, she is a god of beauty and suffers when there is war and strife. But keep in mind, she does have like a massive bastard sword, and she knows how to use it. So a lot of the times within the world of Ravion, these swords dancers, while they are entertainers and artists, are no stranger to pulling the blade and using it. They are practiced enough, for the most part, where many of the clerics and paladins of the Midnight Dancer utilize something in between their regular fighting styles and almost like a blade singing fighting style from the wizard subclass, as a means of kind of following their goddess's example and wielding the sword at the same time to defend those people that they must. So when there's a raiding band of orcs or Goliath or goblins or something, we'll go with goblins for now. And there's a raiding culture of goblins that are coming by to destroy and attack a gnome village or a halfling village or something. These followers of Elistray are able to stand up from the pottery wheel or the canvas and pull their blades in defense of this community. They want to support as much as they can the people of the community and even the raiding community, but they are not opposed to taking you out if you are beyond help. So, in this way, Elistray kind of makes her presence known as a goddess of, please get along, please. You're not going to get along? Fine, we're going to get rid of you. Right? Like, when you have someone that's oh so horrible and committing some sort of like a genocide or anything else like that, she is not happy with you. And so she does have followers on the material plane that can take up arms to drive back this force of evil and defend themselves, help defend themselves and the communities that were under attack. So oftentimes the followers of Elistray are also different moving caravans of people, of artists that go from town to town selling whatever creations that they have for beauty, for whatever means that they need to survive. They typically don't charge much, just enough to be able to get whatever food and lodgings that they need and then move on their way and create as they go. But then at the same time, they're mobilized enough that should something happen and they need to have a call to arms, they're there. They are present. They are happy and willing to support anybody that needs their support. So that's it for the Midnight Dancer. Keep in mind, as we get through the rest of these goddesses, there are quite a few of them, so I'm going to try to go through plenty of them fairly quickly for you. But there are ciphers within each. If you think you might be able to solve them, leave your answers in the comments, and I'll end up pinning probably the first person that gets it right. So, thank you all for tuning in to this kind of more world building episode of the Ravian campaign. Remember, it doesn't take much to be a difference out there, so be the difference that you want to see. And I will see you all in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.